An adjustable compass, more game modes to suit different playstyles, ways to spot hatchling killers, special skins being equipable rather than on spawn and sterile, and a way to play PvP and PvE. The devs have added many features that have come directly from community suggestions, and they are actively reading these threads for ideas and guides on what the game might be missing or quality of life changes that they might not have thought of. Everyone has thoughts and suggestions on how they think the game could be improved, but it's always good to remember that the devs are still making their game, and not to feel ignored when suggestions you might think are fantastic are not added. That said, I have a big mouth and a platform, so here's 7 of my ideas. The first are mineral deposits. Salt, sulfur, calcium, iron, zinc, etc. These could be locations on the map where dragons can get a one-time tick to elder progress with each mineral. No respawn timer or cooldown for use, simply a one-time thing with each type of deposit. This wouldn't be a requirement to reach elder, just an additional way to get a few extra ticks, particularly to jump to the extra mutation point. We don't yet know how eldering is going to be handled in 1.0 and beyond. However, we do know that it won't be through the current mushroom mechanic. This addition would not encroach on the new mechanic, but could encourage map exploration, and by making the deposits not mandatory, clans couldn't lock others out of meaningful progression. Animations for this mechanic could involve the upcoming dig and then eat animation once a chunk has been extracted, just a small coloured rock or something similar. Locations could just be a vein of colour or a different coloured rock itself. The next idea is one of my favourites, and it's the Orphan Pearl. Pearls in 1.0 will be used for both cosmetics and buffs, with each dragon able to store and utilise a few at the same time. These will be given as rewards for quests, defeating boss creatures, or may be found in hidden locations. The Orphan Pearl, when active on a dragon that has no ancestors, will have all stats boosted by a small amount according to how many ticks it has into Elder. This boost would not be applicable when nesting, of course. This would be a way for spawn dragons to invest time into their dragon instead of feeling pushed into a clan or discarding their first dragon as soon as a new bloodline is offered, giving solos or wandering groups who are able to survive a little more of a chance against established clans if they have put the work in. The Snapper is coming with 1.0, and I'd love to see it have nests along the banks of the swamp or maybe rivers, with a diggable thornbat nest for hatchlings likely coming into the game at some point. Why not add these larger and more risky snapper nests that could be dug into so you can grab a hefty meal? Costing stamina to dig, you are of course running the risk of parent snappers coming after you while you're drained, but this could be a good way to draw them out to hunt. The eggs of course could be good food for the micro dragons, the Zygomos. A small idea that has already been suggested in a few different ways is scent trails and plumes to glow. With darkness, it makes sense that a dragon's other senses would take over to compensate, thus making sniffing in the dark more optimal. A tiny suggestion, which I think would be helpful for both immersion and interactions, would be a group invite system similar to the breeding system, where you aim at a player and use the friendly emote, except it would be done by aiming and returning the friendly emote. However, we would still keep the current invite system for long distance grouping. When making suggestions, it's important to recognise how much work needs to go into them to be realised. All of the previous suggestions rely more on coding than animation or custom assets. The next two would require more work in both of the other areas. The first is an animation to indicate when the dragon is low on stamina, or maybe completely out. Something like Panting could work well. However, I don't know if this could be added to the current animations, such as running or even resting, or if it would require a different way of compiling the animations. This is always something to keep in mind. While a suggestion might seem simple to add, it could be a lot more complex when you look at the process needed to bring it to life. My last idea would require the most work, but I think could provide a good bit of value. A thorn-filled plant like a briar patch. This would be a medium-height, twisting plant of thorny vines and bright flowers to easily spot. It would be best avoided by adult dragons due to its claw-like thorns that could scratch through all but the toughest hides, but many small and baby dragons would be able to hide safely under the brush and avoid the thorns. Mechanically, larger dragons when in contact with the bush could get scratched and have bleed applied with their resistance and armour taken into account. They can still move through the bush though, as well as providing a bolt hole or obstacle that hatchlings can utilise to escape adult dragons. These bushes could also be placed at the entrances of hatchling caves and be used as an indicator to growing dragons when they might be getting too big to safely use these tight spaces. So that's 7 small and large ideas I have for the game. What do you all think? And which would you like to see most in game? Do I think any of them will make it into the game? Who knows? They might already have something similar in the works, or they can see problems with these ideas that I can't. This is, after all, their game. Ideas are there to be shared, not forced. Not to mention the devs already have a lot on their plate getting everything they already have planned for 1.0 update. Feature creep is a dangerous thing in games, so seeing a solid base game first, and then focusing on additions, is a much better way to go about things. In the spirit of sharing, I would love to hear some of your ideas and suggestions. Maybe with enough I can make another video covering some of them. See you soon!